Welcome. It's the 21st of June, 2017. Let's go over these cryptocurrency charts. Everything I say on this is what I think, what I see, or what if I'm doing it, what I am doing. Anything you do, you're taking your own risk, own reward, as this has been a wild ride amongst this cryptocurrency um, platform and how everything's going on. I should be doing this on Twitch. I really feel I should be going on Twitch and doing this because to me, this is like a game, a video game. You're out there, you're looking at these types of charts, you're reading these things in posting forums, if you will, and you're putting it together, you're putting numbers, you're crunching numbers, and you buy here, you sell there, and your score is your Bitcoin number, which is also related to your portfolio as well. So your score is how many Bitcoins, whatever your base currency is for most people, and myself included, it's in Bitcoins. And then you multiply that, in this case, by 2,700. That's what your US dollars are worth. And in different countries, whatever it is in your particular country. With that being said, let's begin the movements. I'm looking at the daily chart. And just going over with the recent stuff, I want to go over this in depth, but as quickly as possible. So putting those two together will be very hard. With that being stated, I can see support today at this level of two areas of resistance. As I'm seeing this price action, it has been in this 18 average band for a little bit after it had a pretty decent price downward to a higher high. This is like 5 periods now within what is a sideways movement. We can see the 18 average band going down, starting to go up. Okay, so it's neutral. This is the sideways range, a little over 24 to 28. That's the range, and it's at the upper end of it. Therefore, I want to see how this reacted with this, because I already realized breaking this in here, I mean, it's just ready to go off. That's what this market does. How does it look short term? And what I can see in here is that there has been several tests of where it came from. And since this top, well, right in here, middle of the 18 range, since then, there is 3 periods within this area. You can almost make a case of this wedging pattern. Almost like an indecision. Very soon this thing is going to break one way or another is how I oftentimes read this myself. And it's finding support really nicely within this average band at this point. That yeah, this thing does look pretty good, but breaking in against this point, we can see just by shortening out that it's looking, doing its old correctionary movement. And if this thing struggles on any further decline in a 26 in the 2500s range, then you might want to be a little cautious and think maybe there's going to be a little bit more either further decline or further sideways action. But I'm going to be talking just bits and pieces about the WebBot. That is not expected to be the case. What is expected to be the case is that the prices should be moving higher as we have a tremendous end of the month in June. And when I look at stuff like all these alternate coins, you may not think so, so it'll be interesting to see because a lot of them are in down days today. Let's move on to the Ether. And we're taking a look at this on the daily chart, and this thing has yet to have really went down below the 18 average of lows. It's had a test in here, here. I mean, it went below it here, but it really never did break below it. So ever since this thing got going at the start of the year, almost halfway through the year, it has not yet had any big move. And I think before it does, don't be surprised if we get volume indication. I'm not going to say that it will, but I would expect that this move not coming on any big volume whatsoever in here. Like, look at this volume. You know what? I have a hard time believing it. I mean, I might be wrong, and the WebBot doesn't support there to be any significant retracements. In fact, quite the opposite, stating that this resistance would probably be broken. So that's how I personally am playing it. I'm not going to be selling on any fear at this stage. It could come to work for me or work against. That will be how time will tell. But again, when this thing has a decent top, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of higher volume that just surpasses this kind of movement. Switching to the cross between the Ethereum and the Bitcoin, which has now came back to where it came from. And I've been stating in here with this long sideways consolidation pattern that it needed a little bit more down move or time to get to that correctionary band. Well, it's done just that at this stage. And now we'll have the correctionary test. If it's a positive one and it's just that it's a correction, like this was a correction, this was a correction, so was this. That means it will spend whatever necessary time is needed in there. Then we'll eventually break it from the band and then ultimately break past resistance. If it's a failure, that means the band will start to go sideways, do this type of pattern, but it finishes the pattern by breaking whatever key support it has. So it didn't finish the pattern in this example. Within the classic version, ETC, it also is having its decline, also having its band test as well. Within this test, it's still rising a little bit. Lots of sideways patterns showing within this. You'd expect big gains to happen in here, meaning any type of movements that follow to here will be just whatever moves, sort of like in here. But then when it gets going, look at the size of these candles. Even in here, how you just have consistent move follow through. As this is as well, a consistent move. A bull market of these type of natures, I'm expecting when it's ready to go off, because a lot of times I can't figure out if this is the case. I added position to it thinking, you know what, this looks like somewhere between a 3-day to a 2-week play. Well, this is like the 3rd day now. So is it going to be the 3-day to 2-week? Well, probably. In Ethereum, that was when I was looking at the start of the month. Like, this thing is either going to hit north of 5, either like when it was breaking out last time, or by the end of the month is how I was projecting it. So it looks like it's going to be the either or, but I do a very, very difficult time in trying to figure out the whens. It is so hard. But nothing here to destroy this trend yet. Reasons to be cautious? Well, it's in the square shape, rectangular shape, sideways motion. So it's getting a lot of neutrality. So that's how I look at it as. Within the Dash chart, this is looking, at least I'm hoping anyway, because I'm long in this, that this is going on the book as I like it to play. Because the resistance level broken, nice little consolidation with a small uptrend, good green candle here. Now you have this red candle in here, which brings it right to this 18 average low, going back to where it came from. It's up a little bit, right to this 18 average of highs. But as these circle shape formations oftentimes play out, we got, it's like a bowl or a smiley face, however you want to call that pattern shape, that it's in this going north. Or if you go by time, this is 6 o'clock. I guess this would be 3 o'clock. When you're breaking 3, going to 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, however you want to look at it. When you're moving in towards this end, decent size moves, breaking here, a lot bigger size moves, but the pattern is higher. And with all these charts of Ethereum, ETC, Dash, from what I've been reading within the WebBot reports, everything is, of course, to be bullish within them. So that is, of course, another reason why I'm holding it. But I really do like this pattern, so that's why I wanted to talk about it. I'm wanting to make this a little quick, and I'm obviously not. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Moving on to the Litecoin, and from its high, and it's a decent sized move, but man, this thing could have an interesting one if it does manage to break north of the 20 to 23-ish or so handle. But since the high, a little bit of consolidation, maybe a little bit more time, a little bit more price can still be in play. It's above this 18 average, but with that being stated, there has been 2 periods now since this high. So therefore, just with that, you've known at least a little bit of correctionary action has taken place, that any type of further momentum, if you see it and you're okay, we're now north of 20, it's had a little bit of move. Heck, why can't it take this out now and have its next leg higher? So something to look for if it does break it, but I feel a little more easy to see this thing have a little bit better of a correctionary move. And here's an example of it. Notice in here, you can say it right there. I mean, you can say that this is similar to here. So you notice when this thing broke, it had its gain. So that's pretty much why I want to use that example. And it did have it settling within the band here, a little bit here, and then of course here. But yeah, breaking this resistance, expect decent gains. And then now Monero, it's in this bowl shape, smiley face, although these moves are interesting. But as far as just tracking the lows, when you could just draw a little picture like this, and it's at the lower end of this band, it has a much nicer longer term pattern. And within this weekly chart, multiple hit area. I like how this 18 average is rising, upward trend in here. More times resistance is tested, the more likely it is that you take it out. And quite frankly, this area has been tested quite some time. That with everything I see, just even on the earlier sides and how this reacts to this rally, to this sideways movement, it looks pretty good. Looking at the Ripple chart, daily time frame, and there's only a couple things I can see here for entry positions. Number one, well, bands flatten out, resistance established, come back to the band, boom, boom, boom. That's all been successful. On any break above the dozen number, closer to 12.8 to 13, but 12.6, 12.7, 12.8. And there might be a decent opportunity to go long and try to catch some of this insane action that might seem to follow when big areas and new bullish activity is taken out. Last time it got well above this band in here, it had a huge gain, but the only other way I would play it, given this extreme volatility and the fact that it's also been not spoken too well within the web bot, however huge moves can be made on the up and down side, is maybe consider if there's going to be any type of crash to have buy orders in on this insane lower level. And if that's the case, there's a good chance if you can buy here, you're going to get at least some sort of pop, at least to where it came from. Because that's when I'm big on markets, oftentimes come back to where they came from. So if this goes way down, I would expect resistance in here. And that's why I know if I place a buy order that I'm going to here, then I can sell there. Because every single time I buy anything, I'm like, okay, where am I going to sell it? And I know if I buy this on strength, I'm going to probably sell some in this higher area, some in here, and then a whole bunch above north of it. And if I buy here, I'm going to be selling probably mainly in this area here. And that's on the if scenario, it comes down here. And let's finish it off with ZEC, Zcash, and a move to the 18 average. This is where it came from. This number is in at around 11, and you can even go down to 95 as an area if there's any further decline where there may be a bottom. And like any other chart you see, when you have a break of something, well, that's where the level is. But this one, look at its historical up moves, and it's just wild to say the least when you start it from the bottom in here. And this one, huge. It's just straight up. Just straight up. This one didn't even give you any indication in a bull market it was ready to go. It just started in here with this declining average and had yet to even test the breakout on this decline, but it just goes off. So there's a case where you just want to hold and not just wait for any indications. You just know, well, you know what, it's going to go up. If it goes down, so be it. I'll be ready to sell for my target that I'm looking for, and you just hold in this area. You buy it here, maybe. Oh, I bought April 5th or something. Next thing you know, it breaks out May the 20th. Oh, you held for a month and change. Now you got some sales in here, and that's just one way of looking at it. So you have an okay move here. So having something that just does what we've seen before again wouldn't surprise me. And it's like that with so many other ones. There's been a lot of these straight up wild moves. And then when they're done, you're going to get these wild consolidation patterns that will conclude after the fact. So thank you for tuning in and take care.